Yeah, pasa to the pack. It is pack here. We have a signing announcement for NBA 2K23, so technically a roster update of Russell Westbrook going to the Clippers. I'm going to talk about the significance, how the Clippers look now with this addition, and if it's a good or bad thing. I'm going to cover that in today's video. If you like this kind of content when it comes to ratings, rosters, and changes and all that kind of stuff, I do it every single day. So please join the pack and subscribe. Let's get it, man. So here's the new Los Angeles Clippers with Russell Westbrook. There's definitely a lot to cover with this. This would make Russell Westbrook tied as the fourth best player on the Los Angeles Clippers. And technically at one point this year, he was an 82 overall. So in his peak of what he's potentially good at this year, he has the potential to be the third best player on the Los Angeles Clippers. And if I had to take a guess, that's probably what's going to happen. This team looks pretty damn good. They have 5 players in the 80 overall club now. They have a third option tied with Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell when it comes to scoring, and then a good center with Mason Plumlee. It's a good look for the Clippers. Paul George is starting to pick it up again, and then Kawhi Leonard is playing like a 95 overall lately. So many additions for this Clippers team, so many comebacks and changes that they are looking like a threat, and they are only 1 game off the 3rd seed in the West. These little changes are really going to pick up at the end of this season, and the Clippers are trying to make not a playoff run, a championship run. But the question is Russell Westbrook the difference maker in this situation? Well, let's talk about Russell Westbrook for the season. This year, he was only averaging 16 points on a terrible 42% from the field and a 30% from 3. These are pretty mediocre numbers. I mean, considering Russell Westbrook's a perennial 44% from the field, it's not been a good year for him. Playmaking wise, he was averaging 8 assists on almost 4 turnovers. So even though he's getting a lot of assists, he is getting a lot of turnovers, but it's still a positive ratio. But he was also only playing 28 minutes per game. Now, Russell Westbrook's 2 best abilities are 1, staying on the court. He's honestly almost always healthy, so he almost always plays. And second is his playmaking. You could argue that he makes a lot of bad decisions, but he does drive to the basket and get people open. But that play style doesn't work when you don't have shooters around you. But now going into the Clippers, where you have Norman Powell, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and even Bo Highlands, Trey Mann, Marcus Morris, you got shooters all around. Technically, Russell Westbrook should be able to make a lot out of this team and help them succeed. When he drives to the basket, he's either going to A, have a pretty decent shot at basket, which we know he doesn't really finish really well, or B, have open shooters. And because his team is so good defensively as well, his mediocre defense also isn't that big of a deal. Honestly, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. With the Clippers, this isn't a bad pickup whatsoever. I really do believe that the Lakers, first, roster-wise, wasn't really great for Russell Westbrook, and second, they didn't really know how to use him. I do think the Clippers have a great coach in Ty Lue. The Clippers have a good roster. This should be a good place for Russell Westbrook. If he can't make it work here, it might be a Russell Westbrook problem officially, more than an NBA team problem. Look, I think it's not a bad pick. Let's look at their starting lineup. According to 2K, but this is probably not what it's going to be, they have Russell Westbrook at point guard, Norman Powell at shooting guard, Paul George at small forward, Kawhi Leonard at power forward with Mason Plumlee at center. I personally think this would be a smart thing to do. Although Norman Powell, I believe, has been coming off the bench and he's been a great 6th man, I do think that this would be the most offensively scary starting lineup. I know Kawhi Leonard's not really a power forward, but he could absolutely play it, for sure. I don't think this is a bad idea whatsoever. I mean, for the Clippers, if you really think about it, they lose nothing. They lose nothing because this was a free pickup. It was a little bit of money, but to them, it's either A, you got a great point guard that you were missing, or B, you're still in the same spot as we were before, a good playoff team. So either way, they're in a good spot and they can decide if they don't want to play Russell Westbrook anymore. They can make that decision. It's a good signing for the Clippers in my personal opinion. And it's kind of like a middle finger to the Lakers saying let's see if we can make him work. I want Russell Westbrook to succeed. I do think he's been unfairly hated these past couple years. I do think it's mostly because of the lowlights you watch on YouTube and people look at those highlights and think, oh man, he's trash. But in reality, when you really sit down and watch their games, Russell Westbrook creates shots for other players. There's so many times I watch Russell Westbrook penetrate to the paint and get either Anthony Davis open or kick out to an open shooter. That's going to be really highlighted on this Clippers team with so many good shooters. I actually think he's going to thrive. I think he's going to be playing around 36 minutes a game starting, and I do think we're going to see that 10 assists per game Russell Westbrook we were seeing just 2 seasons ago when they actually gave him the opportunity in Washington to be that kind of player. I think he has that ability. Yes, he's going to have boneheaded plays. Yes, he's going to miss some shots. But Russell Westbrook, what he brings to the table, I think still is there for a good NBA team. And I believe Ty Lue's a good enough coach to make him play better. I personally think that. I think it's a W. Let's see what 2K's simulation thinks. So I'm going to simulate an entire NBA season with this new Clippers roster and see how they do. In NBA standings, according to 2K, the Clippers would be the 5th seed. So arguably, this doesn't necessarily help them that much more because they're kind of in the same spot they are now. And then points-wise, Russell Westbrook only averages 14 points on 6 assists on 2 turnovers, and he only plays 29 minutes per game. They do not think Russell Westbrook's going to be having this thriving year that he had like in Washington, for example. They think it's going to be a lot more calm, 14 points, less minutes, not a lot of playmaking, but like efficient playmaking at least. They think he's going to have essentially the exact same season he was having with the Lakers on the Clippers. Now, my personal take is I actually don't think this because, first of all, they have Kawhi Leonard averaging 19 points per game, which I already disagree with. Realistically, Kawhi is going to be going up. I think Russell Westbrook will be getting a lot more scoring opportunities, and I think his playmaking. I think more than anything, the most honest take I could have is I'm expecting Russell Westbrook to have like 9 to 10 assists per game. Now, he might have like 4 turnovers, but that's what I'm expecting from him more than anything. And then I do think he's going to be getting a lot more minutes with the Clippers. I do think so. Because the Clippers needed a point guard, and he's going to be that point guard from now on. So I think, according to 2K, this is kind of a whatever pickup. It's not going to change much. I do think it does help them a little bit. And I do think I see the benefits of having Russell Westbrook and what it's going to do for the Clippers. And I don't know if it's the missing piece for a championship, but I think it gives them a 1% better chance, and that's all they want, is as big as chance as possible. I think that. I do think that. I'm just going to simulate the playoffs real quick. They're going to be playing the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round. Let's see what happens. So they win the first round 4-1, beating the Grizzlies. So that's already massive. And then they're playing the Mavs, which they love to play. So this is, let's see what happens. They were down 3-0, but then they came back and made it a 7-game series, and they barely don't make it to the conference finals. Now, this isn't necessarily great. I'm sure the Clippers would want to get to the conference finals and play the Lakers, right? But according to 2K, they fall short of making the conference finals. So, man, I don't know. I think it's a decent pickup, but I think it's not the missing piece. I do think it makes them a little bit better, but not enough to win a championship. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this trade a cash or trash trade? And if you like this kind of content, please join the pack and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.